All right, welcome back, YouTube. Uh, I already did couple moves this morning. Well, I would say yesterday. I opened up the software. It was telling me that the SRE call position we held has been held for 12 days. So it's past the swing window, and I need to sell it. So I sold that this morning. And obviously, this afternoon when I opened up the software, was telling me I need to sell the old position as well. So I'm gonna close that position. In addition, it tells me to buy DOX, DOCX, LEN. I believe this is one of the largest builder. I'll check on that. GME, GameStop, and also WY. For GME, I think I bought the wrong position, so I'm gonna try to correct that tomorrow morning. But let's close this position on O, and go back to Robinhood. So I'm gonna close that position on O. The software marks that I close that position. Now I'm gonna go back to Robinhood. So Robinhood, I have O positions, two O positions, a $67.5 call and a $65 call. So I'm gonna sell both positions. I'm just gonna sell to close, review order, submit. So tomorrow morning it's gonna be done. Going back to the portfolio and gonna sell this position as well, $65, review order, submit, done. Okay, and we go back. And yeah, that's about it. So I bought GME call, but obviously I bought the wrong one. So I'm gonna sell that too. I'm taking a loss. Here I bought the 10 buys, so 1,000 shares contract, and at $24. But the expiration date, going back to the software, was telling me to buy July GME July 31st. But I bought something like this Friday. So obviously a mistake, my fault. And I'm just gonna sell to close, review, submit, done. Okay, and going back to my Robinhood. So yeah, like we said, so for the past 1 week, the highest we have gone up is $780, 775, 18 cents, and today we're down at $689 and 59 cents. Okay, so that's where we at today. And also, I want to give you an update on Zscaler. So I bought Zscaler. I told you I think I bought $10,000 worth of Zscaler. And if you remember, it has been I bought it at 145, and then I bought it at right now it's at, let's just say it's 150. So I have that's 1,000, $10,000 over 145. And how many shares I got? I got around 68.96 shares, and multiplied by 150. Boom, that I made about 300 bucks. But remember, the way I set it up, is, let's go back to the software. So I bought Zscaler, ZS, that's a ticker, analyze. So the target is at a 174. So basically, the way I bought it is I bought it at 145. And when that transaction has been executed, has been fulfilled, I basically also opened up a limit sell at $170. So meaning that, when the stock price goes to 170, I'm just gonna sell it. The target is 174.60, but I'm using that $4.6 as a buffer. So $170, sell it. Looking at today's stock, it was giving me a couple of indicators, but nothing at the A level. The way I look at this software is, whenever the software gives me A ratings, high quality setup, and the confidence level is beyond 75, I would consider that as a good buy. So right now, I'm not going to do anything. I'm because I don't see any A's here, and I just see B, 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 and a couple of stocks to sell if you have. I don't have those stocks, and I'm gonna actually walk you through my stock portfolio right now. So right now I have mutual funds. That's the largest holding, and the second holding I have is Berkshire Hathaway stock. So Berkshire Hathaway right now is at the $506, and I think I bought it a couple months ago. I probably bought it, around $470. So it's up already. The reason I bought it is, like I said, I believe we're blowing a giant AI bubble. And that's why, I opened up a Berkshire Hathaway position because I know they're selling all their stocks, pretty much all their stocks. They're selling all the stocks, and I want to be safe. And the other stock I held is UiPath. Why I'm so bullish on UiPath is because I actually use the UiPath. So I built a couple of orchestration layer softwares. So basically, consider the software I build is orchestration layer. It tells you the agent to do. It's basically like a manager. And then you got people working for you. I call them agents. The agents is built with UiPath. It's really simple. Uh, uh, it's a really simplified process. If you learn to use UiPath, you'll feel like, this is really easy. It's actually much easier than some of the complicated Excel skills you can learn. So it's really easy. And the other thing is, consider those agents that are working for you, but they also need brain. They also need that, human factor inside it. LLM, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are those LLMs, and they can help with the agentic process. But the most important thing is you got to have the orchestration layer, telling what the agent need to do. That's an efficient use way of using tokens. The tokens is going to be more expensive. But I think one cool thing they could really do is, currently, I don't know. I think, UiPath allows people to connect to OpenAI, connect to Copilot, connect to Claude, connect to Gemini. But, let me check, does UiPath allow people to connect to local models such as Qwen, Queen, uh, what's the other one? GLM and DeepSeek. DeepSeek. So, oh, yes, UiPath allows you to connect to local and self-hosted models like Qwen, GLM, DeepSeek using bring your own model capability and the AI trust layer. So yeah, this is really cool. That's why I'm bullish on them because think about it. My thesis is that anything we build on the cloud level happens in the cloud, and we just don't have enough productivity being generated using the large language models. And if you can do that at the local level, you actually can do a lot of things, with your local models, even with the 1800 gigabytes of GPU. What I have is 8 gigabytes. I can still run some distilled models and get decent result. If you ask them to build you a simplified Python software to draw some schematics, histograms, figures, the chances are it can do it with really good efficiency with the local models. So that's really cool. Uh, how the integration works, open AI V1 capability, AI trust layer, proxy requirement. So yeah, basically you can use local models on UiPath. And the UiPath can be the sub-agent. Obviously, they also build their orchestration layers, which I think is really helpful. But the chances are is, I believe in the future, you need to have companies to build their own orchestration layers, their agentic AI that use local models. So that's what I believe the future of the business is going to be if you ever come close to AI. So that's what I believe. That's why I bought UiPath. So UiPath stock, let's look at the max. I think, when they launched, around 2021, they were at $80. You're buying it at discount, but again, if you look at their earnings, they beat their revenue, I think, all the time. I think they do a fantastic job, for their earnings. Maybe I can just search here UiPath. Well, it's called Pass UiPath. We can look at their financials. Right down here. We can see whether the beat. Okay, so if you look at that, forget about all this. Q4 financial year 25. I don't think that's accurate. So you are beating the earnings consistently, quite consistently. You have matching the uh, actuals, matching the estimated. You beat that. You matching. You beat. You match. And overall, they're doing a good job. And the good thing is, the CEO is a founder, so he's back into the business. I think he left the business for a couple of years. And the most cool thing they recently launched, I think it's called Maestro Reveal. Let's just have AI search for us. What's a review on Maestro? UiPath Maestro is a cloud native business orchestration engine. Like I said, orchestration is the key. Orchestration AI agents is really easy to build. Don't be fooled by that language. Intimidating. It's not intimidating. It's just consider it's a small software does a couple of things and is powered by LLM in layman's term. And RPA is robotic, process automation. So basically, more like AI agents, but with limited capabilities. Don't necessarily need to have large language models to power them. And the key features, capabilities, you have Canvas, process are designed using industrial standard business process model and notation. So consider that, you're drawing a process diagram and tells you what the orchestration is, AI agents, what they do, so it's kind of like a graphical thing. And case management, support dynamic exception heavy business process like insurance claims or KYC verification. So basically allows human to collaborate, to engage, not necessarily just, go and, burn a bunch of tokens and do the things, So let's look at the user experience. So that's what I care. I believe the companies who's building all these things, softwares, they need to care about their users. That's my principle of buying stock is when I buy a stock, I need to understand their product, whether I like them or not. In the past, I bought Palantir at $6. I didn't buy Palantir because it was at discount. It was because I watched a couple of videos on YouTube. I don't have the money to subscribe to Palantir, but I saw the videos and how they can be used. I was like, this is really cool. And so I bought it, and it made me 30x, on Palantir almost a 30x. I can't remember exactly when I sold them. Around, I think it was around beyond $150 a share, but I bought it at $6. And so excellent visual monitoring. That's one of the feature. Performance and user experience with the UiPath. The other thing is high efficiency gains. Early enterprise adopters and the advisory partner report a significant operational improvement, including a 45 to 80% reduction. That's cool. That's important because that's real numbers you can make up. The problem with all the large language models, even Cloud Code, if you ask the code, just go do things, do things, do things, it will never tell you actually what the operation improvement they're getting. Nobody is reporting that. No-code AI guardrails. It allows enterprise to enforce strict operational guardrails and track protocols on unpredictable generative agentic AI. That's important. The other thing I said is, you can't let the AI go do things. I let AI do a couple of things for me. At first they're good, but a couple of times they start to become bananas. They do crazy things, making up stuff and give you numbers confidently like it's truth. But the problems are those are not truths. It is totally wrong. And Uh, Critical user and job accounts, cloud only locking. Well, that's what they can do. If they don't do cloud, they do it, at local level. How they gonna license to you? How they gonna make money? High licensing and cost barriers. Yep, that's another problem. But again, I'm not super worried about it. It really comes down to the business case for the enterprise to make that call to use UiPath. If the business justifies the cost, it is okay. So I don't worry about cost barriers. Early stage stability issues, yeah, that could be an issue. Integration ecosystem gaps, yeah, those are really cool. And most importantly, let's look at Reddit. I like the idea of having a super orchestrator for agents plus RPA. Feels like that's where enterprise AI is headed. But is it production stable yet? So that's one of the concerns. But with over time, I believe uh, they can solve those issues. UiPaths have really damaged their reputation by pushing out what should be an alpha build as their production. This is especially bad since UiPath Studio, BPMN, long running canvas is so good and does everything meaningful Maestro does at a fraction of the cost, I believe. So yeah, it's a new process. Let's see where that heads. Obviously they're doing really well. They got many partners. They're working with. So the stock, I think, is gonna go up. But again, there's a macro event incoming. I believe we are going to have a crash, and so I personally, not a financial advice. Most importantly, because I have UiPath positions. I think I bought them at $10. My plan is to sold it all at $12. So today it's at $11.83. I got more than 10. I think I got 10,000 shares. So I'm gonna sold those positions, fairly soon. Once the stock goes up, to the level I want it. I want $12. I want to see that 12, and then pull the trigger. So that's what I plan to do. And let's go back to Yahoo financial news, okay? Finance news. I want to see what is going on the market, today. And obviously, uh, U.S. stock futures rise with the AI trading in focus. This doesn't look right, SP futures is at 7,585. Does this even look right to you? I don't think so. If you read the consumer reports, well, not exactly the consumer reports, but if you learn anything about, how people are spending money right now, I don't believe it's a good economy. Are you buying beef all the time? Ribeye steaks every day? Is a ribeye steak cost make sense? $20 a pound at Costco? I remember I was buying those at $10 or something. And I was buying brisket at $3. I think 280 something, 279 a pound. USDA prime brisket at 279 or something a pound. Right now, if you go there, it's $7. I'll be frank with you. I stopped eating steak. These days. It's too expensive right now. It doesn't make sense. So a lot of the things are really driven by AI. But I don't think we're generating enough productivity. We're still having the same struggles. People are cutting jobs. Microsoft, they're cutting another 3,200 jobs. But again, you can argue, it's not necessarily AI replacing human. I agree with that. I think in the past, in the IT industry, you had really bad hires. So people who goes to learn lead code and just keep solving the lead code problems, they got a good chance to be a software engineer. I know one person. She doesn't have any background in software engineer, but she spent time on lead code, and she got hired by Google as a software engineer. I don't believe that's right. But the money is driving people to do crazy things. So again, uh, here's today's video. Going back to our portfolio, I would say it's quite stagnant. We're not making a lot of progress, but we do have some learnings. Maybe is when you are in profit, you should take profit. Currently, the software does not give you that. to tell you it's a good, 30%. You should take the profit. It doesn't tell me that. It was trying to maximize the probabilities of getting the highest the payout. But again, everything should be looked at a time horizon. So, but for this 30 days, I'm not gonna fix that problem. I'm gonna fix that problem later. And also looking at the software, going back to my software, we currently have positions in DOCS, LEN, GameStop, and WY. I don't know what those are, but tomorrow I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. If the software tells me what to do, I'm just gonna sell them. And so far, I I've been looking into the buys, inside this section if it's a high quality setup. So I'm gonna update you if I saw any high quality setup and tell you exactly how much I'm gonna buy and how much at what point I'm gonna sell it. So stay tuned. And the other thing is, please subscribe, comment, like, share the video. You still got a good chance to win that $100 gift card. Totally free, $100 up for grab. Why not? And thank you. Have a wonderful night. Take care.